Okay, so a little difficult to hear in here, but thank you all for coming. Today we received a fiscal note from the Office of Fiscal Analysis. The note says attached is the OFA fiscal note for the resolution approving the CBAC agreement and the associated collective bargaining agreements. That would be the 21 contracts representing over 30 collective bargaining units. But yet when you look at the OFA analysis, there is nothing with respect to those individual agreements other than an item which is to hold $2 million for 4 years. There is no detail whatsoever. Themis and I have talked about this. We've talked to OFA. OFA has indicated that given the short time that they had to do this and the insistence of the Speaker in running the bill today, they could not do the detailed analysis required that we usually see in OFA notes with respect to contracts. These are the individual wage agreements. They did fine on the CBAC agreement, but the individual wage agreements. So begs the question, why are we voting in the House on contracts where we have no idea what the fiscal impact is to the state of Connecticut? Or St. Clair's.
I spoke with the Speaker last week several times when he said he planned on running the CBAC agreement today. I questioned him as to whether he was going to have a budget to run. Clearly he said no. I asked if he knew what the Senate was going to do. They said he didn't know. We spoke and I found out that today there's nothing going on in the Senate and they plan on calling it likely on July 31st. But my question was, and Senator Fasano and our questions continue to be, why do you run a CBAC agreement when you don't have a budget? And then we see information like this. We have gone through the last few employee contracts, which I believe are the state police and UConn. And when those contracts went through appropriations, you can see the line-by-line analysis of all the contracts in there. We deserve that before we vote on something. There is no reason to vote on this concession package today. Absolutely no. There's no technical reason. There's no practical reason to vote on this today until we have all that information. People deserve to have that information. And what I would like to know is, and what we're asking, is why is this contract being treated differently than the contracts we've done in the past? Why did the Speaker go up and demand this gets done when OFA said point blank we didn't have time to do the thorough job we normally do?
Final note, I also did speak to the Speaker on Friday afternoon about 4:30, 5 o'clock, raised the concerns that there was not going to be an OFA analysis done. He had told me he talked to OFA and he assured me that OFA would have the opportunity to give us a total, complete review of the individual contracts. I explained that to OFA and they said, well, that's not exactly how we put it, so there might have been a miscommunication, but the bottom line is, as Representative Klarides said, there's no reason to rush it. How do you vote on something when you don't know the cost? We're in deficit. People in this building have a right to be educated on the votes that are put before them. And that is not what's happening, and we object to it. Thank you.
So what has your own analysis told you? You've been gathering the contracts. Are there savings there?
You know, when you look at the contracts, I brought one for an example. There are a lot of increases. Most of these increases take place after 2019, so it won't affect the budget, the 2-year budget, so I think it's done deliberately. But there's bonuses of this is just one contract, bonuses of $3,000. On-call rate service, they're getting additional bump up. I don't know the base amount, but it goes to $42.50, and then in 2020 it goes to $50. There's a $10,000 bonus, $30,000 added to an account. So when you look at this one contract, I think we came up in one contract $150,000 increase over that 5-year period. That was just one contract. Now, we reviewed a lot. We could see the money that goes up, but we don't have the staff. We just got this Thursday night, all these contracts. My staff split it up, went into it as much as possible, but we don't have the background or the administration within our own caucus to know, to back up, to figure out what all the numbers are. But they're definitely costs.
And when you look at this and you see other wage payments, 2, 2, 2, and 2. And when asked where those numbers came from, well, it was just an educated guess. First of all, I don't know how you even came to that number. And when told we didn't have the proper amount of time to get the information, if that is not enough reason for us to not do this today, when once again, there is no legal reason to do it today, there is no factual reason, and there's no practical reason, I don't know what is.
How does this affect reaching its budget agreement? The dispute you're having right now is how to the Office of Fiscal Analysis, waiting for that. How does that affect reaching the budget agreement?
Well, if you don't know what you're approving and you don't know what the cost is, how do you know how to budget? You know, how you're backing into the issue. So one, they don't know what the cost is of this contract. And what I think I heard the speaker say in a press conference is this is the first step to a budget. Well, how could it be the first step of a budget when you don't even know what you're approving? There's no way anybody knows the fiscal impact that these contracts will have on a potential budget. And that's wrong.
How soon are you going to have that information?
When OFA gives it to us. It's up to the Office of Fiscal Analysis, which we're going to ask to continue their work. Maybe I'm sure we could have it by next Monday when the Senate is supposed to go in.
And remember, to answer your question in the most direct way, if you add all of these things, if you don't know what you're voting on in this union concession package, then almost half of your budget that we will eventually get to, hopefully, we won't know how it's affected. We won't know.
Len, can you just tell me the contract? We said there were thousands in bonuses. Can you just tell us which bargaining unit that contract was?
This is P1, MP6, District 119. That's the best I can identify it.
Thank you.
Themis, are you going to raise a point of order on the House floor to say that this should not be debated today, or that it's improperly in front
Yes.
of the body?
I've already mentioned it to the Speaker, and if he goes forward with it, it will certainly be a debate we'll have on the House floor.
And
Right.
that'll be, will there be a vote then to back the Speaker, basically? Is that, what will happen after that? In other words, you'll make a motion?
I can't tell you what will happen because that will be the Speaker's decision, but it will certainly be a topic that we bring up in the way we've just brought it up to all of you, and letting him know that we don't believe we can properly vote on this because we do not have the proper information to make those decisions.
And we just want to make sure every House member knows, to the best of the ability, that there is no OFA analysis on these contracts. And that's the message we're trying to get to House members. They understand there is no fiscal analysis.
So there's not even a preliminary on the 30 individual contracts? There's nothing?
Other
You got
than a-
zero from them?
Other than a quote-unquote placeholder of $2 million. In each of the years, it's exactly $2 million. Even though we know in 18, the numbers don't go up, and in 19 are when the increases begin. So I don't understand why at least in 19 the number doesn't go up. And they said, look, we didn't have time to do the analysis. I don't blame OFA. This is an overly aggressive speaker who's trying to get this done, and he's pushing his way through and using his power and his weight to do it, and it's wrong.
Have either of you gotten anything from the Office of Legislative Research on any of the working condition changes or any of the policy changes in either the CDAC agreement or the wage agreements?
I received something from Legislative Research, OLR, on the CBAC agreement. I did receive something. I asked them if they could do it. I think we received it Sunday night or Monday morning. I can't recall. What was that? But that's on the CBAC. But on the contracts, we received nothing on the contracts. And we felt that OFA's analysis would be sufficient. You didn't have to have both.
The wage agreements don't just cover wages. Each union can, that's where they set working conditions.
Good point. Good point. But we did not receive any. I didn't receive anything.
And Keith, the sad part of this whole thing is that in the Speaker's press avail he did a few hours ago, his defense is he believes this is political on our part. That's a sad day for the state because this is a person who is pushing a vote on something we don't even have a fiscal analysis of, yet he thinks it's political on our part. We have one motive and one motive only, to get the best deal for the state of Connecticut and move the state of Connecticut forward. We don't even have an analysis on a budget. How do you even get to what your motives are?
Thank you all.
Thank you.